Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. I'm trying a few different things heading into 2025, one of which is hosting my Dave Neal Show interviews here on my main channel. I'm essentially going to get rid of my side channel and consolidate everything right here. How does that affect you? Well, it's good. You're going to get more content. And today I've got an interview with a Billionaire's matchmaker. Her name is Gina Hendrix, and she was named top 10 matchmaker in California. And within our interview, she discussed a bachelor, not from the show Bachelor, but a bachelor billionaire who I guess was going on a second date with someone who then decided instead of going on a date with the billionaire, she would go on the show The Bachelor. I can't tell you who that person is, but you can speculate all you want. In this conversation that you're about to watch, longer form, weekend type conversation. I always try to make my weekend interview between 30 to 60 minutes long. You got some chores to do. You got to detangle some Christmas lights. I'm here for you. So now we have this episode on the podcast, which is available for you guys. I'm clicking on it right here. You can just screen that QR code, or you can watch it, what you're about to see. All of my weekend episodes, along with all of my daily episodes of the Rush Hour podcast, will soon be available on YouTube as well. I know what you're thinking. Dave, this is amazing, but are you pulling Bachelor content away from us? Not at all. You're actually about to get more content. On the Rush Hour podcast, you're about to get all of your entertainment news, pop culture news, the Haktua girl with her crypto scam, the assassin on the loose in New York. Everything I put together on the podcast will now be available on the YouTube, as well as whatever big Bachelor stories are going on. Does that make sense? So with all that said, I wanted to come and just talk to you before I share the interview, just so you guys had an idea of what was going on within the channel. So some people have said, oh, Dave, I can't believe you're getting away from Bachelor content. No, I'm consolidating a lot of my content to this channel, which means you will get more. So for those that follow me for true crime or non-Bachelor related stuff, this is going to continue to be the home for that. So subscribe to this channel if you haven't already for all videos. Without further ado, it's Billionaire Matchmaker. And by the way, if you're single, maybe you're not, but maybe you're single curious. If you're with a partner, leave them before Christmas. Get your Christmas gift and then leave them. Okay, just be single for New Year's. That's all that matters. No, but if you are single, Gina will give some tips for what you can do with your online dating profile to kind of make yourself stand out a little bit better. All right, here it is, my chat with Gina Hendrix. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's guest on the Rush Hour podcast was voted a top 10 matchmaker in California and was called the Billionaire Bachelor's Best Friend. It's matchmaker Gina Hendrix. How you doing?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Good. I love talking to matchmakers here. You've been doing this for a long time, since 2008. Is that correct?
16 years. Yes, indeed.
Does business pick up before the holiday season, or do people wait till after Valentine's Day? We're in that kind of winter bubble.
Yeah, they technically call this cuffing season though, and cuffing season within our industry is like prime time from Halloween all the way up to Valentine's. It's sort of when people feel lonely, they, get sentimental, they don't want to spend the holidays alone. So historically in my business, I kind of don't have like, oh, it gets busier at this time. However, saying that, and it might be because I'm a little more popular in social media than I have been in the past, but right now there's lots of men and women. Women are always beating down my door, but in terms of men showing up interested to be clients, I'm extra busy right now.
Yeah, it seems like it would be interesting because you cater to higher end male clientele, but men with money can tend to be in the what we call F boys. So how do you know like which guys are serious versus which guys are like, I got money to throw at a matchmaker, go get me some hot ladies?
I don't find that's really ever the case here with my guys. I and probably because of my fee and the level of commitment, I find, guys that don't have any money can be F boys too. You know what I mean? I don't think it has to do with money. I really don't. I think money makes a lot of things easier, but certainly At least just from my experience, I don't find that these guys are necessarily any more of a player than a guy who has no money. There's that. So, but I do look for certain things. There was one guy a few years ago, a couple years ago, that showed up, and he was younger, he was cute, he was known as, this billionaire in this particular state, and he was like a big deal. But when I looked at his Instagram, it just appeared to be a bit of a party boy. And he just wanted to get women on his plane, popping champagne. And it's just not what I do. And he made it clear, because I always ask what their goals are. And he wasn't necessarily looking for marriage. He already had a baby by somebody else. And, he wasn't the type of client I wanted to work with. And those guys aren't used to being turned down. They're never told no. But for me, I think, I don't know, the secret to my success is being picky about the women, picky about the guys. So it wasn't a fit for me. This is a small thing, but I also don't like it when I'm showing up to a virtual meeting with a client and he's driving in the car trying to talk to me and drive. I don't, to me, it's like that guy's not taking it seriously. I mean, I want to look at this as it's a serious meeting to talk about working together. And if he's driving in the car, for me, that's a huge turnoff in terms
So
of having him as a client.
yeah, so our audience is primarily women. What can women do if they want to get on your client list? You only keep, I think you said 6 to 8 men at a time, but do you have like a roster full of potential ladies, and are they, and how much do you look at specifics, like as far as proximity to where the guy is, and like, walk me through that whole process
Mhm.
for putting together your database.
Sure. And great questions. Thank you. And I've had some women, in fact, a very, very well known lady from The Bachelor who was in my database. And I set her up with a client like right as she was getting her final yes. And I didn't know she was up for The Bachelor. And right as she was finding out she was going to be on The Bachelor, she was about to decide whether to go on date number 2 with my client or go on The Bachelor. And she did. And it didn't go well. She went all the way to the end though, but it didn't go well. That's what we can say here.
Wow, how
So
interesting. Was it in the last 8
few years.
years?
Yeah, a
Last
few
couple
years.
years? Okay,
Yep.
we'll we'll
Mhm.
we'll we'll have to do some research into who that could be.
She was lovely. I adored her. Anyway, and so I'd say for women, I have scouts that scout for specific women for current clients. Okay. Those are the ones we're scouting. There's even like a free inquiry link where it doesn't put the woman in my database, but she could fill it out, and it's on my link tree, which is on my social media on Instagram or TikTok. But so a woman can submit like a basic inquiry, but that only considers her for clients who are my clients right now. It doesn't really put her in a full profile. So for a full profile, there's a fee, because with a full profile, I actually meet everybody through Zoom and do an interview and guide them on things that they can do to level up their pictures and their info. Because what I've learned over the years is that there was a time where women could just fill out free profiles for my database. And most of the time, even if it's the most beautiful woman, she just doesn't know how to present herself in the right way. And so a free profile wasn't helping anybody because I didn't do any follow up. So if they submitted stuff that was off putting to me, or the photos just weren't good, or just too racy, or they were just making common mistakes that they thought men would want to see, they don't understand they've got to get through me to get to my guys, then those women just didn't ever hear from me. And so now, with the way it's structured, is the basic inquiry, at least I can see, do I think they're good for a client right now? And of course, if they pick bad pictures, that's where the road ends for them as well. Or if they want to pay the money, then they get me, where I can actually give them some guidance. And that's actually more helpful. And then from there, my women are all over the world. And I have some clients who don't care where a woman lives. And I have some clients who want her nearby. So that kind of varies from guy to guy.
Yeah, this is so fascinating. I mean, you mentioned presentation and how important it is. So
Mhm.
many of our first impressions are done through social media. How has somebody's social media helped you kind of figure out about them? And are you essentially just the first impression of of your clients as you kind of try to figure out what they want? Are you just there to
Sure.
save them time for it's because it feels to me like you're almost like a real estate agent. You're like, all right, I know what my client wants. I don't need to show
Yes,
them every house on Zillow. Let's get them
that's
the top
funny.
12.
That's funny. Yes, or like a casting person sometimes,
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
like a casting agent. Um, so yes, I think that, the men I work with certainly meet a lot of women, but they do like the fact that I can screen and vet. I mean, another type of lady that who'll never get access to my clients, which I think surprises a lot of people, are women that are just looking for, to be a sugar baby or want just any old rich dude. I think that's one of probably the biggest misconceptions about certainly what I specifically do. Probably maybe other matchmakers do it differently. But for me, if a woman fills out a profile and she's just like, I'll take any guy, any, and she answers any to all of the matching questions, she doesn't care how old he is, she doesn't care if he's short or tall or anything, that to me is a huge red flag. And so any girl that shows up or a woman and she just takes wants any old rich dude, Gina, set me up with a rich guy, is never going to get access to my guys.
So yeah, and it's like it's always nice to have the sort of that I think everyone wants safety and security, and wealth obviously can provide that. It can also
Sure.
be the exact opposite if the person with the wealth feels like they can buy and discard things. It's like it's like a very delicate connection you have to make there,
Balance.
and
Sure.
yeah, and I mean, so you've been doing this since 2008. I personally have an opinion that online dating is terrible because it takes qualitative measurements and quantifies them. And by that, I mean, you might meet someone at a bar that you hit it off with, but he's 5'11", and online you only search for guys that are above 6 foot tall. I almost feel like it takes away the vibe aspect of it. How have you seen a dating shift since you started as a matchmaker versus now where a guy can just say, hey, I can go on Raya and meet any number of girls swiping around?
I mean, so I am a lover of the dating apps. I am. That's how I kind of fell into being a matchmaker because way back in the day, I wanted to start my own online dating site. So I still study it. I still think it's great because, matchmakers, with someone like me, I can't match every amazing lady who wants to meet, my guys. Obviously, I only work with a small number of guys. So it's impossible for me to match every lady, yet she wants access to better men. And I do believe in the dating apps. It's just the dating apps have made dating, unfortunately, good and bad, right? It's good because you cross paths with people you wouldn't normally meet, gives you access to them, both good and bad. But the other side of it is, yes, I think people have become a little bit more in the mindset of being kids in a candy store, and they could easily be discarded because people think they have more options than they have. You know what I mean? Like they don't necessarily have all the options they're seeing, but it gives them the illusion that they do. So I do think it makes and it's also, and women are guilty of it as well. I mean, I have a program that's basically been born from my matchmaking business where now I coach women so that they can level themselves up to access, catch, and keep these kind of guys they want. And we use the dating apps, which is shocking to a lot of people, but it's because I believe in it and I know those guys are there, but you just got to know what you're doing. And the majority of people have no clue what to do on the dating apps.
Oh, it's a great point that you make, that it's this perception that you have all these options. And it's like they have those options too, and they're not choosing you, just like you're not choosing them. It's
Correct.
almost like, yeah, and I talk about this a lot actually on stage. I do stand-up comedy about the prevalence of ghosting, and how ghosting is a term that's kind of been created because it is so easy to flake on people, because we are like it's like if you throw 15 tennis balls at a dog, he doesn't know which one to go after,
Sure.
versus it's like, I have a 6-month-old baby, and they tell you now, like, don't provide this baby too many toys. He's not going to value the ones that he has. I kind of feel like we kind of take those we need those tips in the online dating world where
Yes.
no,
Sorry.
no, 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 it's yeah, where we just have that perception like, all right, I got all the options, I don't need this person, and we don't give people a true shot.
I mean, I think if I was gonna, design a perfect way for people to meet and connect, I would do something like, because I like philanthropy and giving back because I think that speaks to the core, measure of a person. That's my opinion. But so like something like where you take people and you're all working on a project for Habitat for Humanity, let's say. And so you get to know each other over a period of weeks or months. It's not the context of we're sitting across from each other at dinner and now we've got to make a snap decision, because I know for a fact, like when you see these exceptions to like, God, how'd he end up with her, or how'd she end up with him, it's because somewhere along the way they had a chance to interact over a period of time. That's why you see unlikely matches that have been together. But these days, if you're an unlikely physical match out of the gate, that's it. That's it. Just one quick shot at it, and that's it.
Yeah, that's such a good point. How often is it where you have a client that says, nope, she has to be blonde, but you're like, no, trust me, you're going to love this person. Like, does that happen often where you have to remind your client, hey, get out of the physical expectations because there's more out there?
Listen, I wish I could do that, but that is the business. They tell me exactly what they're looking for. Men are very specific about their types. Some like tall blondes, some like petite brunettes, some like blue eyes, brown eyes. I mean, the eyes I don't hear so much, but like hair color or just physical attraction, there's no way to try to talk them out of what they like. That's why somebody just sent me an article. I guess the founder of Tinder, I think his name's Justin. He's coming up with something new where it's more of a matchmaking algorithm to pick matches for people. But the thing they're missing is that the physical attraction. Because I could tell my guys, oh my God, she'd be the perfect match for you. They'd be like, no, Gina, I am not attracted to her. I'm not going to go meet her. And that's just how it is. I'm rarely am I ever, what I started doing just because I do believe in giving people a shot is if I know she's his physical type, let's say, okay, she's his physical type, but for whatever reason, he doesn't think her pictures are good enough or she doesn't seem, whatever, but I still know I'm in the ballpark. And I know that I liked her because I'm very picky. So I say to them, hey, go and meet her. And if you absolutely don't like her and like, I misled you, completely misled you, I won't count that introduction against you. And then it's a win win. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't like her, no harm, no foul. But if you don't go and meet her, you never really know. So if I feel strongly, I will absolutely kind of push them to do that. And then usually they do like her. Usually, I mean, I've never had anybody claim that offer where it's like, nope, can't count that introduction against me.
It's so interesting because you mentioned before that you can only match so many people at a time as like a single
Right.
matchmaker here. But, matchmaking's been around probably since the beginning of time. And it's a skill for sure to read people and understand energy and empathy and all of that. But as a business owner, in the year of 2024, being able to give blanket advice can help people that you can't personally meet on a one-to-one level. So you mentioned earlier about trying to give women advice with an app. What are some examples of like the advice that you think, for the most part, would generally work for like the masses out here listening?
Oh, I know it's working. I mean, I have women all over the world who are in my program and they work with me for 6 weeks and they're getting into relationships and they didn't think there were any good guys on the dating apps. And the reason I use the dating app framework is because it's how I can see what they're doing, right? So if I was just giving them theoretical advice, then I don't know the conversations they're having. I don't know the men they're choosing. I don't know how they're actually showing up or how they're trying to attract men. So this framework of the dating apps is what really, like, that's where the gold is. That's where I actually see what they're doing right or wrong. And I would say, I mean, first of all, they need recent full body head to toe curated photos. That's one of the first things that we work on because the pictures, it's the beginning and it's the end. It's where everything starts. It's the framework for all the results you get. And even beautiful women, like I said, sometimes they pick things which are just too skimpy, too thirst trappy, and you never want to do that either. That doesn't work because then you're going to attract the wrong kind of men. So it's knowing how to present yourself in a way and with the pictures. And here's the thing, nobody needs close-up headshots. Never. Now you need full head to toe, full body because that's what men want to see. That's ladies want to see that of the guys too. And I'm not saying do full body where you're standing so far back from the camera, you're like tiny little person. You got to see you. So you got to be standing close enough. But as long as they can see your face and you head to toe, you should have 4. My formula is 2 sexy date dresses and 2 elevated casual looks. And that's it. Less is more. And then never connect your social media to the dating apps. Those are just a few. I'm a treasure trove of all this stuff.
I think I couldn't agree more with you that less is more. I mean, men, we're idiots, and if we want to know, oh, there might be something there. That's that like give the guy a chance to let his mind wander. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
What's the strategy behind not wanting people to link their social media?
Because people are going to judge you on your weakest photo.
Wow.
So when you carefully curate the photos the way that I do it, the way I teach my ladies to do it, your photos have no face tune. They're not, it's no trickery involved. It's just good lighting and, and the right shots and bringing the vibes. And so it's essentially look at it like a marketing campaign for your dating. So we create this strategic marketing campaign that's honest. It's you on your best day, certainly. But if they are allowed to go into your Instagram, they're going to see a photo that's a bad angle, that's bad lighting, that you maybe when you were 20 pounds or, whatever, heavier, whatever. People want to read things into what people are seeing. And the more somebody has the room to dig around and what you got going on, the more that is it's likely they're going to find a reason to not like you. And these days with dating, because people are doing it on their own, and to your point, they can't sift through everyone. They're looking, instead of people looking like on the bright side, this is a reason to like this person. People are literally looking online and they're looking for reasons to not date you. They're looking for red flags.
Yeah, that's so true. It's been a lot. I haven't been on Tinder in 12 years, but even then, yeah, you're the dopamine kind of, slot machine of it all is just kind of mind numbing.
Yeah,
And yeah, you just probably swiped away from so many beautiful, kind people. Now,
right.
do your women in your database know who your bachelor is beforehand? Do they have that hidden advantage?
That's a great question. Um, Somewhat. Some are pretty crafty detectives. And over the years, I don't ever reveal last names. I don't let my guys go and cruise her Instagram, right? I practice what I preach here, right? So I don't give last names, but sometimes people can connect the dots. And I've had this happen over the years. Sometimes my guys can connect the dots. Sometimes women go, "Oh, he's a top entertainment attorney in LA and he's this ethnicity and he's this age range," and I've given too many clues sometimes, and then they go and they figure it out. And in one instance, the girl went to a party. She hadn't even gone out with my client yet. It was just an idea I had and wanted to set them up, and I had mentioned him to her, again, not revealing last names. And she went to a party. She starts blabbing to everybody, and somebody said, "Oh, I know who that is," blah, 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 blah. It gets back to him. And then, of course, he's furious with me. And then she didn't get a date with him. So I have to be very, very careful. Another thing that I learned from women early on is that they'll say to me, but now they don't do that anymore because I'll tell you how I get around it. They would say, because I set up all the details of the first date, I don't let people talk on the phone or email or any of that. I say, "When are you available? When are you available?" Boom, boom, boom. I do it. You go and you meet. But in the past, the woman would say, "Oh, what's his name for the reservation? What's the reservation under?" And now, you know what I do? What do I do?
Your name.
It's under my name. Yes, it is.
Well, I'm gonna start going to some nice restaurants in LA looking for Gina Hendrix and see
There
if I
you go.
can get a free
That's
meal.
funny. That's hilarious.
No, but this is so interesting because, well, look, I'll tell you this as a guy who's normal height, 5'11", full head of hair. I remember one time I was at a bar and I had a hat on, and a lady took my hat off to see if I was bald or not. If you're a short man and if you don't have a full head of hair, the cards are stacked against you out there. The world can be very, very superficial, and I think from the research I've seen, it's because it's all about who's going to protect me in the long term. And, for whatever reason, CEOs are taller and we value height. We value different forms of power, at least on the physical side of things. And then we probably go to the emotional side after that. Like no one wants a tall guy who, hates his mom or something, like obviously
Right.
it's more important than just height, but there are certain physical things that just lead us in certain directions. Like, do you ever have to like tell your clients or your ladies like, hey, this is outside of what you're looking for, but give this a shot?
I think that the women a lot of times are more open. I mean, women are just as picky as men, no doubt. But I think I do have more wiggle room with the women to I think they're more open-minded where cuz men have a specific type and that is it. And there's some women who are like that as well. I think those women are maybe a little more in their masculine, but I find that there's a lot of women who will also, because when I vouch for a guy, it goes a long way because a lot of the women that I'm setting up with the clients, I mean, you've got they've got movie stars dropping into their DMs, rock stars, the Lakers, you name it, because they're beautiful women. And so why would they need a matchmate? But they like the fact that I can vouch for my guys, because a lot of those guys that are dropping into the DMs are players. They're always players. And they're not just dropping into their DMs, they're dropping into others. So I spend a bit of time really building trust with the women. So when I vouch for my guys, it goes a long way.
Yeah, that's interesting. I can imagine I didn't have this personal experience where women were throwing themselves at me, but I can imagine if you're like a high value single woman out there, yeah, your DMs are going to be filled with people trying to
Absolutely.
score and conquest. You mentioned masculine energy. What are your thoughts? Can you elaborate on masculine versus feminine energy? How like what's like where did you learn about that?
Everything I talk about and do, I didn't take a class on it. I didn't do it. It's just from my real world behind the scenes of the business of matchmaking, it's been a Harvard education. I have a PhD now, and it's from the real world, right? So it's from seeing how people interact. I get this very uh unique purview from behind the scenes of what he does wrong or right, what she does wrong or right. And this is this is exactly what everything I talk about comes from.
Yeah, I think no, I ask because I think in the like the sort of the super modern world, there's like it's hard to describe masculine versus feminine energy because everyone
Mhm.
has both. Like I was raised by a single mom and I have like an insane amount of feminine qualities that I love. I mean, I cover entertainment news. My audience is women. Like there's
Right.
something that has attracted me to more of a celebrity gossip world than most of my, but I also love sports and other things. So I just think it's interesting. But with most like trying to find a magnet, trying to find a partner, you want someone to complement you. Sometimes you want something in common, but sometimes you want, something that you lack. Do you go down to that level when you are, so like, say you're meeting your client and, are you asking them about their life with their parents, past exes? Like, what do you, and also, do you have any examples of something where you honed in on, like, this is exactly what that person needs, but doesn't know it?
So many good questions here. I think, I have some clients who are more interested in me doing that. So I kind of follow the lead of what I feel like is important to the client. I kind of have to a degree. I think people want to think about the business of matchmaking being hearts and rainbows, but it is a business, and I can't just wave a wand and I can't just do free for all setting people up who I want to set up, right? I've got to listen to the guys. They are my bosses. But saying that, I do have some men who want to know, Gina, find out about her home life, find out about her relationship with her parents. But honestly, I I try to move them out of that thinking, because what I've learned from matchmaking is that there's so many people that show up with so many different scenarios, and people are like onions. And I think, like, if I told a client, oh yeah, she was raised by a single mom and there was, she never knew her dad, he's going to say, nope, don't want to. But she might be an amazing person. And I think slapping labels on people so soon is a huge mistake. That's what I believe as a matchmaker, just seeing just how everybody's a little different, and there's exceptions to everything.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that's also really smart that you don't have them interact before that first date, because now they're getting, sometimes what'll happen, I feel like, is you'll get someone's number and then you'll text back and forth. And it's
Right.
like, you're talking to someone who's got a good texting game, not who you are in the moment. And that's like, and it really gives them the chance to kind of navigate what they learn about each other. Yeah. Interesting stuff. A couple more questions. Do you believe in love at first sight?
I think for sure it's lust at first sight, not love at first sight. There's no way.
So it's an indicator of heading in the direction of love? I've
No, I'll give you an example,
Okay.
okay? I think some of our worst decisions are made based on that theory. Um, uh, I was at this place, let's just call it a place. It was a place that was getting something done for some furniture I had. And this guy walks up, okay? I probably would never have swiped on him on an app because he was on the shorter side, although I do kind of like short anyway. But anyway, so he walks up, and I mean, immediately when he walked up, he owned the facility, the company. I was just like, and I think he could feel it. I could feel it. It was like, and I never went back for that reason because he was married with 3 kids. So that wasn't love. That wasn't anything that was meant to be. That was just like some weird physical chemistry thing we had, but it was no indication that we could be good partners. That he wasn't even available for starters. That's why I never went back, because I was like, I'm not touching any of this with a 10-foot pole. But it's like, no, I don't think so. I think the basis for a great relationship is not that. And again, as a woman, separate from being a matchmaker, I know I've become crazy about men and wanted to rip their clothes off, who initially I went out with, and I was like, oh, I don't even like them, but they treated me well and I enjoyed just being with them. And so I think a deep friendship with respect and more of the qualities that are really important, I think that's first. And then I think all that other stuff, especially for women, can be built on for sure.
Yeah, and I guess that idea of lust is definitely plays into the online dating where that's all you have to go off of. So
I
if you
know. And
want,
I tell the women, read the details first. Don't just look at the guy and swipe him away, because what I tell them is that their pictures a lot of times were shitty and horrible before I came along and helped them. I remind them, right? So it's like, these guys don't have me helping them. So yeah, they pick bad pictures of themselves. So but a woman, a lot of times, and it's a bad approach, she looks at one picture and God forbid he picked a horrible picture of his first picture, she's done. Where I say, stop for a second, just read the details, see if these details are good, and then let's go down a little further to see, hopefully maybe he has better pictures. Because I know for a fact, again, with the women, a lot of their pictures look horrible until I came along and changed the game for them. So, I think if somebody's on the dating apps and they're really looking for someone, they shouldn't treat it as a video game. They need to go a little slower, be a little more methodical in their process.
I love the idea of you, like if I were a matchmaker, I would be waiting up late at night to hear how the date went. What's the sort of post-date analysis that you get?
So I do tell, that's funny. I am like that still after 16 years. I'm like, oh, should I get up and look at my phone? It's like Christmas, right? For me. And so I do tell everybody, hey, go on the date. Don't really talk about future plans, because sometimes I find people say things they don't mean when they're in the moment. I say, go have a good time. Don't talk about future. Just come back, shoot me a text right after the date, because I want to wake up and see something on my phone. And that's what I'm counting on, right? But you have to also take it one step further, honestly, with both people, but I think women more than men, because women will have a tendency to say, "Oh, Gina, he was great. It was such a fun date." But guess what? That does not mean they want to see him again or not.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean shit. So I have to say to them, I don't care if you had a good time. I mean, I care if you had a good time, but what I care about is, do you want to see each other or not? That's what I'm looking for. Yes, I'd love to see him again. Yes, I want to see her again. Whoa. And
Yeah,
that's what makes my day.
And that have you been invited to any weddings yet?
Well, so I know, again, hearts and rainbows. It ain't hearts and rainbows. Is, what I find, and this is like maybe going to really like bum people out, but I sort of, and this sucks. This is the ugly side of the business, if you want me to tell you. I kind of become enemy number one after they get into a relationship. Now, and I'll explain. In the early stages of the relationship, I'm crucial to them because I'm helping them navigate like the first month, sometimes month or two of dating, right? And I've talked a lot of people down from the ledge, and then they've gone on to get married. But once they are like locked in together, one of them, it's usually not both, it's either her or him, whoever, they freak out about them talking to the person that introduced them. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. And so they kind of make a little pact together, and and I almost never hear from them anymore. I hear through other people, or things like this, but yeah, no, I don't, oh no, they're afraid I'm going to set them up with somebody else,
Oh, yeah, no good deed goes unpunished,
I
apparently.
know, right? But this is why, guess what I do now? This has been many years once I caught on, is I have a success bonus in my contract. So I get 2 times the fee if they hit a certain milestone within our agreement.
Oh, that's so funny. So like the guy's like, a day before that milestone, he's like, all right, do I love her enough? Do I?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Oh,
Fun
I forgot
stuff.
about that, Gina. I'm like, rat-a-tat-tap at the door. Remember me?
Hey, money talks, right? Well, look, I really appreciate you talking to me today. What's the best way for people to either, submit to being, getting more details about your tips or any of that?
I mean, so following me on social media is great because I give a lot of great advice. And then the link in my bio always has the links to everything you need. So whether it's on Instagram, Matchmaker Gina Hendrix, or whether it's TikTok, Matchmaker Gina Hendrix, and then you would click the link in the bio and then get all the info for every rabbit hole you can imagine. Or you can go to my actual matchmaking website, which is ginahendrix.com. And from there, you'll know everything about me.
Amazing. Oh, how exciting. This was a real fun chat. And now my audience can really do a deep dive into which Bachelor contestant you were speaking of. I'm
Who
sure
do
they
you think it was?
Oh, finalists in the last few years. And I'm
Oh,
assuming,
I didn't say finalist.
oh, okay. Oh boy. In that case, oh, gosh.
Winner.
Oh, a winner. Oh boy. A winner of The Bachelor. Oh, that really narrows it down. So I'm assuming,
Yes,
I'm assuming it's in the last 4 years. So I'd have to, oh boy. Well, the funny thing is almost none of them are successful, so that doesn't narrow it down at all.
that's
I'm not
fine.
I'm not sure. I'll shoot you a few thoughts.
Yeah. You know what I've heard from, again, I've known a lot of different ladies who are on The Bachelor, and in fact, I was on The Bachelor.
Oh, really?
Not as a contestant. I was like before the Golden Bachelor, but no. No. So I had an organization called Models and Mutts, and I got models to go to high kill shelters and do photo shoots with dogs. And so ABC liked the concept. So they had me on and they made it like a group date. And I got to promote my organization, Models and Mutts. And we brought in all these rescue dogs. It was really fun. It was a
Oh,
really
how sweet.
awesome opportunity. But anyway, but yes, I forgot what I was saying.
You'll
So
have to get some of those dogs as, like, part of your fee, like, when you get engaged, the dog you give a
that's
dog away.
funny. It's funny. I'm actually talking to one guy right now. I just bought 2 puppies off a homeless woman in a parking lot 2 weeks ago. And I was like, "Do you want a husky puppy?" So I'm trying to talk him into it right now.
Hey, good synergy. Well, hey, thanks again, and
Yeah,
come
thank
back
you.
anytime. Really loved hearing about this, and you definitely wants. It'd be great if someone in my audience might end up working with you someday.
That would be great. I appreciate you. It's been fun.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Dave.